Hello YouTubers and welcome to a new video of Arepas for dinner. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Andrea and I make videos about my life. I'm currently living in the Czech Republic and I'm the mom of two beautiful girls, Alicia and Isabella, who's napping right there. In today's video, I'm gonna give you all my tips for traveling by plane with a baby, 0 to 1 year. Because this baby traveled 16 times. She got 16 plane rides before she was 1. Yeah, we were crazy parents, okay? Then we got 2 and we stopped traveling that much. But the thing is that 6 of those flights were over 9 hours and we learned from trial and error. I know I watched a bunch of these videos before doing it. I'm just gonna explain you all my tips. I'm actually gonna tell you where the tip comes from because everything I'm putting here is because we already made a mistake of doing it the other way around. So that's it. Let's start with the video. 1. Direct flights are your best friends. If you can't book a direct flight, go for it. In our case, many of the flights were impossible to be direct flights, so we had no options, but we did took a couple of flights that might have been just like, oh, it's a little bit cheaper if we just do the layover. Layovers are the worst. Like, honestly, if you can book that direct flight, do it as a direct flight because with kids is the worst part. And then there's issues with the strollers and sometimes you don't get the stroller. So imagine being layover in Charles de Gaulle for 6 hours with no stroller. Definitely direct flights are better. We took one of our very long flights were 9 hours from Prague to New York, but since it was a direct flight, even though it was a nightmare, it was at least a nightmare that lasted just one flight. It's not like I've been crying for 6 hours and now I have to stay 2 hours here for taking a second flight of 4 hours. I honestly would even rather like drive to the place and then flight. Like, for example, driving to Vienna and then taking the plane to Madrid than rather like Prague, Vienna, Madrid by plane. Like, honestly, I'm being very honest here. Okay, number 2, if you cannot get a direct flight, plan to stay over in the place where is the layover. For example, if you're traveling Prague, Paris, and then Paris, Santo Domingo, plan on staying one night in Paris. Honestly, it's way better. You're gonna be way more rest. The kids are gonna be way more rested. It's not gonna be as horrible. Sometimes we think, oh, if I push it through, it's gonna be okay. No, I understand. Everybody has limited vacation days, and when you plan something like that, you want to spend it as long as possible in the place that you're going. She says yes. But the truth is that overly tired babies can ruin 5 days of vacation. So it's better to stay in the middle, get them rest, and then take a second flight than do it all at once. When have we done that? We haven't. That's the truth. But if we were gonna go to Miami soon, because I love going to Miami, we would definitely do it with TAP. We would fly Prague, Lisbon, sleep one night in Lisbon, and then go to Miami. Because definitely doing it all in one day is too much for them. Number 3, if you cannot drive to the place, if you cannot stay overnight, and if you cannot do a direct flight, then the number 3 comes in hand. We did this when we went from Paris or from Prague to Venezuela. So we did it in Paris, that it was to pay for the lounge. So many airports, especially those big ones, have very nice lounges. So if you have a long layover, I would say anything more than 3 hours, just pay for the lounge. They have food, pretty much all you can eat. They have sofas, they have entertainment. They even have changing tables and places for the babies, but they even have showers. So in our case, we could shower Alicia. It was so much better than just waiting anywhere else in the airport. It wasn't that expensive and it was literally a life-saving. Like, I would do it that way again and again, especially if I cannot have a direct flight, and especially if the layover is too long. Number 4, and this is where it comes a little bit posh and all that, but I'm being honest, this is not about being posh or not. This is about not going absolutely insane and divorcing your husband in the middle of the flight. That is, book the baby a seat. So I understand that kids under 2, they do not have to pay for a flight ticket, or I think in international flights they have to pay like 10% or something, very, very little. But the truth is that you're gonna suffer. I'm saying suffer. To be honest, nowadays, after everything we've lived, and especially after the baby is 6 months, I would pay for that seat. So if you pay for that seat, you're supposed to bring your car seat to the plane, so the baby can be seated in the car seat and it's gonna be there all the time. to be honest, there's ways of doing things. You can bring the car seat, then you can talk there maybe at the door and tell them that maybe the kid can be in your lap for the takeoff and landing, and then be on the seat that you purchased for them without the car seat, so they can sleep, so they can lay, or they can sit. But the thing is, like, buying that seat, I think, is a must. We haven't done that yet, but we cheap out on a flight that we had Prague to New York. And I was like, she doesn't need the seat. It's not important. We can find someone to give us a seat. Or She was crying. The flight was, I think, like 10 hours, and she was crying the 10 hours. Like, she wouldn't stop. Like, everybody was crying. We were crying. She was crying. The entire flight was crying. I couldn't believe I was doing this to everyone, to her, and to me. It was such a bad thing. And I was like, I cannot believe I cheap out on that. I made like a bad memory for the rest of our lives. So to be honest, if you can manage buying the seat for her, especially for any flight longer than 2 or 3 hours, do so. But I would say for any flight, because to be honest, when we booked those like Ryanair inexpensive ones to Spain, it was as bad. So yeah, like, don't cheap out on that and just get her seat. I believe that probably this Christmas we'll go to Venezuela again through Istanbul. There's a 12-hour flight once again, and we're gonna have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I'm gonna just buy 2 seats extra, one for each, because I definitely think the lap thing is nice that the airlines do it, but it's too much. It's not manageable. It's not okay for the parents, and it's definitely not okay for a kid that is 6 months or older. This one I did it since day one. Number 5. If your kid is 6 months or younger, book the first row seat or pay for the extra fee for that row, because in most international flights, you will have a basinet. Basinet is small, like, kind of bed when you can put the kid not in the takeoff and not in the landing, but in the middle of the flight. Wow, those flights from Venezuela and to Venezuela from Istanbul, they were the best, because we could leave Alicia there and she would sleep spans of like 3 hours and then just wake up, be in our lap for a little bit, and then like 3 or 4 hours again. It was just like the best thing ever. But many airlines do have these as a separate fare or as a separate price. Some airlines have it included. You just have to pay an extra fee to be there, and some airlines place you there if you have an infant. But to be honest, I wouldn't leave it on the airline, because even though Turkish Airlines, for example, gives you that place if you have a baby, it's not guaranteed for your husband. So it's just going to be you and the baby and your husband somewhere else. It happened to somebody that was in a flight with us. I was heavily pregnant, and my husband is 2 meters tall, and this family, they had the baby with them, and they didn't purchase the seat, they didn't pay for them, and they asked us if we would switch with them because they didn't give them that seat. And only to the mom with the baby, but not to the dad. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant, and my husband is 2 meters tall, so he doesn't fit anywhere else. So I was sadly having to say no. So my opinion is just pay for it so you're not encountered with this situation. Do it. Now, if your baby is 6 months or older and you don't want to book that extra seat, because I get it, sometimes life happens and you don't have the money and you don't have the will and you don't believe me, is that necessary? There's a trick, and it worked for us in several situations. That is, talk to the staff from the front desk, I mean, where you do the check-in, to the staff when you're boarding the plane. Just ask to place you in a row where they might be empty seats so you can place your baby there. It happened to us in that flight to Mexico from Paris, that we didn't book the seats correctly or whatever. It was impossible to have the first row. It was fully booked. It was too late for us, and we were with Aeromexico, and we talked to the ladies, and we're like, please, like, we cannot do this. I have no idea how I'm going to travel with this baby on our lap. I'm going to cry. And they were like, okay, let me see if there's an extra seat in the plane. And there was right by the bathrooms. You will think that's the least, I mean, that's the worst place you can be with a baby. No, it's perfect. Whatever you can have a seat for the baby is better than anything else. Even business. Like, no, it's better to have a seat for the baby. So we literally spoke with them. They gave us a seat. It was the best thing ever. And it worked for us in many flights, especially those of like 4-hour smaller flights. But in some point, it kind of stopped working. I think more and more people have been traveling lately, and the flights are like packed. So it has been a little bit hard, but something you can risk, but not just like risk it until you're like inside of the plane and then trying to find the empty spot. Just ask in advance, be polite, and of course always say, for the sake of not just me and my baby, but everyone on the flight, it would be nice if you guys can help me with this. Like, you can put that card of like, my baby's nightmare, even if he or she is not. Like, it helps. I think most parents don't know this, but you can travel with every liquid, every formula, baby juice, pouches, whatever you want for your little one. It is amazing, the exception, but it exists. That is, once you're traveling with an infant or even a small child, it's okay to bring the liquids. They just put them through a special machine and they're completely okay with it. I couldn't believe that my baby was drinking formula, so that was definitely the best case scenario for us. Number 8 is download their favorite show. So I understand that most planes have screens and you can watch things there, but to be honest, it probably won't have their favorite movie or their favorite TV show. So in my opinion, just download a couple of episodes to your phone. You know they love to watch the same one over and over, so it doesn't matter. And also something I've discovered is that the headphones, first, they keep removing them, so it doesn't work whatsoever for anything. And 2, they don't mind watching the thing without sound. So take advantage of that and don't bring the extra bulky headphones because you're gonna need a lot of space for the important stuff, and those headphones, not important. Number 9, bring a couple of new toys. We learned this one when we were going to Spain. Alicia was having the worst tantrum ever. She wouldn't stop with anything. And then one lady, thank goodness, she gave us a little toy keychain that had a little dog there. And that entertained Alicia for like 40 minutes straight. Amazing. So after that, when we were going, I believe it was New York, Miami, we also bought her a couple of things, like a little car and a baby Kelly doll, like a tiny Barbie. And she was so happy with that because she'd never seen those before. So my advice is bring toys they've never seen before. They don't have to be new toys. They can be like old toys you have saved or just like borrow some from someone. But definitely that helps entertaining them so much. Number 10, and this is very important, okay? It is bring a change of clothes for every 3 hours. That means the hat, the socks, absolutely everything for every 3 hours. From the moment you arrive to the airport to the moment that you arrive to the destination, that's the 3 hour. Because in the first flight we took with Alicia, or it was, well, I don't know, one of those very long ones, we only got her like 3 changes because we were like, oh, it's a 12-hour flight. It's okay. 3 changes of clothes is more than enough. She pooped everywhere, like everywhere. There was a diaper blown out every 10 minutes. Like, I don't know what she ate. It was the worst thing ever. And to be honest, we were washing clothes in the bathroom sink and hanging it for it to dry while she was like wrapped in an airplane blanket. It wasn't funny. Like, now I'm laughing, and I think in that point I was laughing as well because it was absurd, like completely absurd. Just onesies, something like very easy to wear in and out. You can put them in something cute for the arrival or for the takeoff, but in the middle, just like nice pajamas are more than enough. But definitely like take that into account, as well as bring plastic bags for all those dirty clothes because you don't want to be having to wash them because you don't have plastic bags. And to be honest, they don't have plastic bags on the plane. So my best advice is that a lot of clothes and plastic bags. In fact, the best advice is to take the plastic bag and inside the plastic bag put the onesie, the diaper, the socks, like the entire set of clothes, and just put it there in the backpack. So whenever something happens, you can take that out and you have everything, the diaper, the change, and you can put the dirty one there. So it's the best, most convenient thing. That brings me to number 11, that is bring change for you and daddy as well, because it will happen. It happened to us. Of course it happened. She puked. Sometimes when they make the pressurization of the cabin too high, kids get sick, little kids, and they vomit. They tend to like drink the milk and then vomit, and then it's a cycle of nonsense. But it happens, and it's not just us. There were other babies in the plane vomiting as well. It was bad. But our clothes got grossy. And my advice is honestly just like one change of clothes, something like leggings and a very thin shirt, something that doesn't take much space, but there's nothing worse than arriving to do immigration to US. You know, the guard, they're gonna ask you things and everything. You're just like covered in poo and vomit. It's like, come on, no. Number 12, bring lots of wet ones. So you can bring the big thing of wet ones, and I would even bring a second one if you have space in your hand luggage. That is for a long flight. For a short flight, maybe one of the big ones is enough, but the big ones and new, because you're gonna be cleaning them, you, the clothes, the things, the plane, the toilet. Like, I cannot tell you how useful these things are when you're traveling. Like, in the airport, you're just gonna start freaking out about everything is dirty and they're gonna get sick, so you're gonna be cleaning everything all the time. So definitely it's a good idea to bring lots of them. This brings me to number 13, that is the same, bring a lot of diapers. So we calculated that if your little one changes diapers like once every 3 hours, double that. Whatever they do at home, double that. Because it happened to us already when we were, I believe, coming back from Venezuela in the airport in France. She didn't have diapers. She was full of pee, and we were out of diapers after the 12-hour flight. So definitely just set apart in the suitcase for those. It doesn't have to be all of them in the diaper bag, because that's going to take the entire diaper bag. But bring them in the suitcase so you can actually take them, because they don't have diapers in the plane. They don't. You can go like crazy, ask other moms for diapers, and hopefully their kid is the same size as your kid. But most likely they're just gonna be sitting in their own pee, and that will break my heart, so no. Oh, as well, pro tip there, have a very good anti-burn cream. Those are your anti-rash, is the Desitin or like panthenol or whatever the one that you use. You can even use petroleum jelly, but usually I don't use it. Like when I'm in Prague, normally living my normal life, I don't. But when we were traveling from Merida to Ciudad de Mexico, oh gosh, she got so burned because she had to sit on her poop for like 1 hour because we couldn't change her because it was in the middle of the thing, and I knew she was poop, but there was no place. That happens a lot, and she burned, and I felt so sad and I felt so bad as a mom. So for sure, just put a lot of the cream so they can hold 1 hour if needed. If you're in the takeoff or in the landing and you literally cannot go and change them, they won't burn. 14, stroller wise. So your best friend when traveling is a one-piece stroller. In Prague, we have the Cybex Prime, I don't know how you pronounce it, that folds in one. That's the only stroller that you can bring onto the plane. Like just before boarding, you just leave it there, like the people in the wheelchair that just leave the wheelchair there, exactly the same. And that's your best friend, because otherwise you have to leave your stroller when you do the check-in, and then you have to carry your baby the entire time. And if you have a layover and whatever, the entire time, you won't get the stroller, which it can get like too much. So since the beginning we knew it, so I wanted a one-piece stroller since day one, and that's what we got. And if you don't have one, my advice is to go to Facebook Marketplace and purchase a cheap one. Just don't travel with your expensive Nuka, whatever is the name of, Jules or whatever, but they don't fall in one piece. Just go and buy a cheaper one that falls in one piece and travel with that one, because otherwise you're going to struggle the entire time with the plane part. As well, when you're gonna do the leaving the suitcases, just say that your stroller falls in one and that you want it at the door when you land in your destination or in the place that you are gonna do the layover. That's very important because they're gonna place a special tag. I'm not sure if it was red or yellow, but they're definitely gonna guarantee you that they're gonna give you the stroller. For example, it happened to us when we were doing the flight through France. I believe it was when we did Miami, Prague, that we went through France. And even though they place a tag in France, they don't wanna give you the stroller. I know it was from Mexico to Prague and it was through France, so they didn't want to give us the strollers. So even though they put the special tag, I'm so sorry, but the people here, they don't want to give the strollers back. And we had like a layover of like 4 hours. I had a panic attack. Our baby was very heavy. She was already like 7 months, but she was already like 7 kilos as well. So I was like, no. So at the end we managed, but it's very important that you just specify that when you're doing your check-in, saying my stroller is one piece and I want it back at the door of the plane, not in belt with all the suitcases. As well, if you put it on the belt, it tends to get destroyed compared to door. Number 15 is the best tip, especially if you cannot or won't get a stroller that folds in one, or you're going through Charles de Gaulle and you might face not getting your stroller. That is, get a baby carrier. So baby carriers or baby wraps are perfect because I remember we used it, or my husband used it, to walk her up and down the aisle to make her fall asleep in the plane. That helped a lot. And as well, when we didn't got our stroller, I believe it was in the Miami Prague flight through Charles de Gaulle. I think we didn't got the stroller there, but the layover was only like 2 hours. So we just hung her, and she was almost 1 year old, so she was walking and everything, so it was all right. But it wasn't that much fun. But definitely, you know, getting the carrier or the baby wrap is great because of the stroller situation. Just get it. If you have a baby wrap, even better because it's smaller, but otherwise just get the baby carrier. Number 16, and I figured this one quite late. I figured out when she was 11 months. It was one of our last trips that we did with her, and it was the car seat goes for free. Car free goes for free. That's amazing because I know, especially if you're traveling to America, you might be renting a car and then you have to rent the car seat, and it's such a hassle. And guess what? You don't have to, because you can bring your car seat. Yay! And sometimes they make you very nervous because they're like, no, it has to be FDA approved or European approved, or especially if you come from Europe and it has the Isofix, it fits everywhere. It's perfect. So you can bring your car seat. You don't have to pay for it. It goes checked with the luggage. They give you special bags. A special bag, like a big plastic bag, so you don't even have to have a plastic bag for it, and it's perfect. And if you're putting your kid that is under than 2 on a seat as well, you have to bring it. So there's that. You can always bring it down or up, so it's perfect. It's just like, I don't know why I learned that so late. I remember we traveled to Spain with her and we didn't know we could bring the car seat, so we had to rent it there because we arrived to Malaga and we had to go all the way to somewhere else for a wedding, and it was silly. But you know, usually they don't give you this information ahead of time. I don't know why, but yeah, the car seat is free. And I'm talking about like Vueling and Ryanair, like it's a law. So yeah. Number 17, and this one is very important, that is bring leg extender. Even if you don't have a seat for the kid, you might, so you can bring one of those inflatable ones, those horrible suitcases that everybody loves that are so inconvenient that they also become leg extenders. Tasca Pro Koyanse. Those, I got that one from Marketplace, and we just put it in the hand luggage, and it's perfect because then you just put it in the seat and they can sleep or sit there, and it's ideal. And even this Tasca, you can put it in between your legs and your husband in case that you don't have a seat, and in case they can sleep there, and it's more flat and reliable. And number 18, I used these only on the very last flight. Like, I struggled, suffered, and cried for 15 flights until this last flight. But for some reasons, because I don't want hate, I'm not gonna say exactly what it is in this video. If you want that last tip, you will have to go to my Instagram and ask me directly. I'm always there. I'm more than happy to share. I don't gatekeep secrets or anything. So for sure, I'm gonna tell you what it was, my secret discovery of the last flight that made it so doable, especially for kids that are 6 months and older. So yeah, just go ask me there. I won't be saying it here because I don't want the hate. So that was it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and to give this video a big thumbs up. As well, let me know down in the comments if you have more questions about traveling with kids and toddlers, or if you have your own tips as well. Let me know down there. I would love to hear those. As well, follow me on Instagram because I post a lot there. I also answer a lot of questions, and I try to keep it interesting. I know I love following people from many different countries that they kind of portray their lives on social media. I don't know why. It's something I do. It's something I love. So it's something that I do here for you guys as well. So that was it. See you next week with a new video. Bye-bye.